How's it going, people? Hope you're all doing well. So, I just finished watching the Amazon Prime Yakuza Like a Dragon or Like a Dragon Yakuza show, and, well, here we are. So, as the title probably says, this is going to be a spoiler-free review, and then if you guys want to hear like more in-depth thoughts, I will try to convey everything I can in the soon-to-come podcast episode where I'll probably gather a few of the other content creators and we'll talk about what we think about the show and really try to go through a lot of the things about the show. So in that podcast, we'll probably go through the story, the different subplots, the characters, and what we think of each character. So stay tuned for that video if you're looking for the actual details about the review. But for now, I thought I would make this just in case somebody wants to go in, they don't want to get spoiled, but they just want to know what somebody thinks without saying too much. So to provide a bit of context, I think most of you already know this, but I've been a fan since Yakuza 1, the original on the PlayStation 2, all the way back in like 2006 or 2007. There's a lot about the franchise that really attracted me to it, you know, the story, the characters, the emotion they convey, the soundtrack, and of course the gameplay is also a big part of it. Now, up until this point, we've had a few adaptations. There was the Like a Dragon prologue movie, and then there was the, I think, 2007 Yakuza 1 movie. There's also the stage play, which weirdly combines Yakuza 1 and 2, and then you have the live-action Black Panther TV show. And what I can confidently tell you about all of those is that they don't quite hit the mark with everything. What do I mean by that? So basically, some of those, or one of them, or maybe none of them, but let's assume maybe one of those might hit a chord with somebody, like there's something about the adaptation that they will adore, but can we truly say that all of the adaptations we've had so far are faithful? No, actually, not at all. Basically, without saying too much about the previous adaptations, they may implement subplots that are not really related to the main story, and it makes it feel like they're trying to pad out the movie when it really doesn't need to be there. Or at the bare minimum, they could use that time to develop, you know, the actual story characters. Basically, all of the live-action adaptations we've had so far had drastic changes. And fortunately, or unfortunately in most of the examples, the Prime adaptation of Yakuza 1 also changes a lot. The thing that sort of softened the blow a little for me is the fact that they said way before it came out that this is going to be like a unique take on the story, it's not going to be one-to-one. As soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, how much butchering is gonna happen? Because as soon as you get, you know, screenwriters or directors saying that, there's always cause for concern, right? Some would say it's flat out a red flag. And I think there was also this thing about the director not wanting the cast to play the games intentionally because he wanted them to act without knowing the context of the games. It's really easy to just think that, you know, it's going to be butchered when there's something about the actors, you know, not playing the games, or the directors themselves making it a point not to have the actors play the games. But if it wasn't for Fallout, I would not be saying what I'm saying right now. As far as I've looked up, I think the Fallout cast did not play the Fallout games, and that show was amazing. By far, the Fallout Prime show is my favorite video game adaptation of all time. It's so good. I need to go back to watching it again because it's just that good. Every time I watch it, it's like I'm watching it for the first time. So I don't think it's a matter of the cast of Like a Dragon Yakuza not playing the games is what made it bad, or, you know, not straight up just bad, but questionable, because I do think there are a few good things about the show. So just to kind of reiterate or, you know, make it clear, the live-action show for Yakuza basically adapts the story of Yakuza 1, but it's like a reimagining, I guess. Or the way I would look at it is it's like an alternate reality take on Yakuza 1, and I think some of the characters in the show were done better than they were in the actual game. Though, to be honest, some Yakuza characters in the games barely have anything written on them, and they barely have screen time, so is that really saying much? There's always this thought about how, you know, the show could have taken the opportunity to adapt the game itself, one-to-one, and enhanced upon what was there, so that the story becomes even better, right? I mean, really, there's a lot of things showrunners and screenwriters can do with adapting a video game. If you ask me, I think one-to-one adaptations can work, but also having an original story can definitely work. I mean, again, look at Fallout. I think the problem with one-to-one adaptations is that most of the time when directors or writers try to do those for movies or shows, they usually try to implement a lot of their like ideas that they think would spice things up for the better, but really it has the opposite effect. All it takes is just one good look at, I don't know, the Resident Evil Netflix show, or Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. I am pretty sure the screenwriter for Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City was going on about how, oh, this is for the fans. The fans are gonna love it so much, you know, blah blah blah. No, not really. I still don't know why they thought it was a good idea to try and combine Resident Evil 1 and 2 in one movie. But yeah, with the Yakuza show, again, there are a few things that I actually did like. Like I said before, some of the characters. I think the fact that it is a show gave some time for some of the relationships to be developed better than they were in the games. The fighting scenes were alright, but I think they could have been spiced up a little more. I think the best thing about the show by far is probably like... how do I call it? The art direction, the colors. Like, they really nailed down that gritty Yakuza 1 feel in terms of, like, you know, just dark colors, dark atmosphere, you know, neon lights. It is so good. Also, I actually really don't hate the idea of having, like, a what-if kind of take on a story. Whereas I imagine, you know, a lot of people probably wanted this to be a one-to-one or... I don't know. But I do think a story of, like, a what-if take on an existing story can be really, really interesting. I've talked about this one thing before, but imagine we have a Yakuza 1 where instead of Nishiki going to jail, it's Kiryu going to jail. I feel like that can be such a fun idea for a game, and that's how I basically view this Amazon show. It goes without saying that this, I don't think, is meant to be a replacement for Yakuza 1's story. This is probably just an attempt at trying to introduce more people to the world of Yakuza, but I think they definitely could have done a better job in multiple aspects. One of my main problems with the show is the constant going back and forth between 1995 and 2005. Now, I'm curious as to how many people will agree with this, but here's an idea. It would have been so cool if the first batch of episodes, the first 3 episodes, were all in 1995, and then next week we get to see exactly what happens in 2005. It would kind of build up the hype in a different way, and the viewers would probably have a lot less confusion as well, so win-win for everybody. Honestly, I don't even know how much my opinion is worth on all of this. What I'm really curious about is to seeing how like complete newcomers react to this show, because as it stands, I feel like they definitely could have done a better job even for, you know, the sake of introducing newcomers. And this is probably the bit that you were waiting for, but if you were wondering how much I would give this show, I think a 6.5 is fair for this. Maybe that sounds like, you know, I'm saying it's absolute crap. I mean, if anything, to be honest, it's the complete opposite. I feel like you're more likely to run into somebody that will just dismiss a discussion about the show than, you know, the opposite. If you guys want to discuss, you know, specific things about the show, you know, feel free to comment. I will try and get back to you. But also that means if you're looking out for spoilers, then probably not a good idea to go down below. Just, you know, just to be safe. But yeah, if I had to say, you know, my thoughts without spoilers, I think I pretty much said everything that I have to say. And again, if you want the detailed everything sandwich, then just wait for the podcast episode where we'll be going through pretty much everything that the show had to offer. So yeah, for now, I will just give this show a 6.5, and to summarize it a little bit, I think it's an okay adaptation. I think going into the show, expecting it to be like an alternate reality take, as I said, will probably have you get some enjoyment out of it. I mean, it's like a general rule of thumb, right? Always, whenever you buy a game or you're going to watch a movie or a show, just don't expect like 10 out of 10 peak. So that if you do get 10 out of 10 peak, you'll be super happy. And if you don't get 10 out of 10 peak, then you'll be like, okay, well, you know, I thought as much. But yeah, I think that's everything that I have to say for this video. I just want to say thank you for sitting through this video. I really do appreciate it. And I look forward to the podcast video that will probably be out. I don't want to give any promises, but yeah, it shouldn't take too long. And yeah, you guys take care, stay safe, and stay healthy. I'll be seeing you very soon. Bye-bye now.